8 months ago, my son and daughter-in-law kicked me out and called me a burden. But then I found a USB that changed everything. Now they're calling me, saying they want to reconcile. When they arrived at my door, they stood frozen in shock. I'm Raymond, 68 years old, and this is the story of what happened next. Before I tell you what happened in that villa, let me know where you're watching this from. Comment below. Because what started in a rundown motel room is about to change everything. The smell hit me first. Damp walls, old cigarettes, mildew creeping through the cracks of room 14 at the Sunset Motor Lodge in East Asheville. 2 months now. 2 months since Franklin and Rose threw me out of my own house like I was trash they needed hauled to the curb. I'm Raymond Lockwood, 68 years old, retired chemistry teacher, widower, and now, apparently, burden. The room was 8 by 10 feet, one twin bed with a mattress that groaned every time I shifted, a microwave on top of a mini fridge that hummed day and night, a shared bathroom down the hall that smelled worse than the room. The window looked out on a cracked parking lot and a gas station across the street where people came and went at all hours. I made $1,800 a month, $800 from tutoring high school kids in chemistry, twice a week at the public library, $1,000 from Social Security. That was it. Rent at the motel was $650. Utilities, food, bus fare, it all added up fast. Most days I ate one meal, ramen, canned soup, day-old bread from the discount bin at the grocery store. I'd lost 15 pounds in 2 months. My shirts hung loose. My belt had new holes punched in it. My hands shook when I wrote out formulas on scratch paper for my students. Every night I lay on that twin bed and stared at the water stain on the ceiling. It looked like a map, a coastline. Patricia used to say I saw patterns in everything. That's the scientist in you, Raymond, she'd say, smiling that soft smile of hers. Patricia, 2 years gone, cancer took her fast. 6 months from diagnosis to the end. I held her hand in the hospice room while she slipped away, whispering that she loved me, that everything would be all right, that I'd be taken care of. I didn't know what she meant then. I still didn't. Franklin never came to see me, not once. I called him every few days. Left voicemails, texted, nothing. Rose blocked my number after the first week. I saw it in my message app. Message failed to deliver. My best friend Henry Wallace came by last week, brought me a sandwich from the deli, and sat on the edge of my bed like he was visiting someone in the hospital. Raymond, this isn't right, he said. You can't live like this. I'm managing. You've lost weight. You look sick. I'm fine. Let me help. I've got a spare room. You can stay with me and Linda until... No. Raymond, pride's the only thing I got left. Henry, don't ask me to give that up too. He left an envelope with $200 in it on the nightstand. I didn't touch it for 3 days. Then I bought groceries. That night, I dreamed of Patricia. She was sitting in our old kitchen sunlight, streaming through the window behind her, turning her hair gold. She was smiling, but her eyes were serious. Raymond, she said, you have to find it. Find what? You'll know. Look in the places we kept safe. I woke up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, the dream already fading like smoke. The next morning I started going through the 6 cardboard boxes I'd packed when I left the house. Everything I owned in the world, clothes, a few books, our wedding album, Patricia's cookbook with her handwriting in the margins. At the bottom of the last box, wrapped in an old towel, I found something I'd almost forgotten. A small wooden box, locked, with Patricia's initials carved into the lid, and taped to the bottom a tiny brass key. My breath caught. Patricia's initials, carved into the lid in her own hand. PM. I'd watched her do it years ago with a wood-burning kit from a craft fair. So careful, so deliberate. I turned the box over. The key was still taped to the bottom. Cold brass. Why had I forgotten this? No, I hadn't forgotten. I'd buried it. Patricia used to keep important things here. She'd said once, Raymond, if something happens to me, look in the places we kept safe. I never asked what she meant. I thought we had time. We didn't. I gripped the key. My hand shook. I should open it now, see what she left. But I couldn't move, because the last time I'd seen this box, really seen it, was the morning I packed those 6 boxes. The morning I left the house. 8 months ago. The memory hit like a fist. Franklin and Rose showed up without warning. I was sorting Patricia's cookbooks when the door opened. No knock. They had a key. Dad. Gregory's voice. Flat. I stood. Son, I didn't. We need to talk. Rose didn't look at me. 3 months pregnant, hand on her belly, all black. Stone face. Let me make coffee. This won't take long. Franklin stayed standing, arms crossed. Rose, and I need this house. For the baby. You need to move out. The words hung sharp in the air. This is my home, I said quietly. Your mother and I. Mom's dead dad. And the house is legally mine. You signed the deed over 5 years ago. Remember estate taxes. I did remember. Patricia had been sick. Franklin said it was smart. I trusted him. You thought wrong. Rose stepped forward, eyes like ice. Let's be honest. You can't take care of this place. You don't cook. You don't clean. You're barely holding it together. You're a burden. That word. Even Mom knew it, she continued. She told me. You lived in your chemistry books, your experiments, your formulas. You never helped her. Franklin saw it his whole life. I looked at my son. Is that true? He looked away. You have 1 week. Chelsea's voice was steel. We're changing the locks Friday. 1 week. Where do I go? That's not our problem. We're starting a real family. We don't need dead weight. Franklin followed her out. Paused at the door. Just a second. I thought he'd say something. He didn't. The door closed. I stood alone. The house felt hollow. I called a lawyer the next day. He wanted money I didn't have. I gave up. Not because I couldn't fight. Because I had no strength left. 1 week later I packed 6 boxes. Wrapped this wooden box in a towel and buried it at the bottom. I couldn't open it then. I left the house. 40 years, gone. I wiped my eyes. That was the last time I'd touched this box. The last time I'd let myself think about what Patricia left me. But now in this motel room, key in hand, I wasn't that broken man anymore. I fit the key into the lock. It turned with a soft click. The lid lifted. Dust scattered in the morning light. Inside the wood was darker, smooth. A small USB drive sat in the center, wrapped in tissue paper, yellowed with age. Nothing else. I lifted the drive carefully. Beneath it, written in Patricia's handwriting on the bottom of the box, play this first. I love you. Always. P. My throat tightened. I remembered the day she'd given me this box. 10 years ago. We were sitting on the porch. She'd carved the initials herself that afternoon, her tongue caught between her teeth, the way it always was when she concentrated. Keep this safe, she'd said, closing the lid. One day you'll need it. Need what? She'd smiled. Kissed my cheek. You'll see. I never asked again. Now, sitting on the edge of the motel bed, I pulled out my old laptop. The screen flickered to life. I plugged in the USB. One file. A video. Dated 2 years ago. A week before she died. I clicked play. Patricia's face filled the screen. She was sitting in our bedroom. Sunlight through the curtains. Her hair thin from chemo. But her eyes were bright. Alive. Raymond, my love. Her voice cracked the silence. 20 years ago, I bought 10 parcels of land in Asheville. Back when no one wanted them. Cheap. Empty. Far from everything. She smiled softly. I used money my mother left me. Money I never told you about because you would have said we didn't need it. That we were fine. And we were Raymond. We were. But I wanted to make sure you'd always be taken care of. That if something happened to me, you'd have something no one could take away. My chest ached. Those 10 lots are worth $9.5 million now, maybe more. The city's grown. Developers want them. I've kept everything in a safety deposit box at Mountain Trust Bank. The key is in the box you're holding, taped under the tissue paper. I looked down. She was right. A small silver key. Raymond, her voice softened. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be free. Don't let anyone use you. Don't let anyone make you feel small. You're the kindest man I've ever known. The strongest, even if you don't see it yet. Her eyes glistened. I love you. I've always loved you. And I'll be watching over you. I promise. The screen went black. I sat there, staring. The laptop hummed in the silence. Then I broke. I buried my face in my hands and sobbed. For the first time since Patricia died, I let it all out. The grief, the loneliness, the shame of being thrown away like garbage by my own son. But also something else. Hope. Patricia had saved me. Even after death, she'd seen this coming. She'd prepared. I wasn't helpless. I wasn't worthless. I had power. The next morning, I stood in front of the cracked motel bathroom mirror. I shaved, carefully, slowly. I put on the only suit I had left, a navy one Patricia had bought me years ago for a school award ceremony. It still fit, barely. I combed my hair, straightened my tie. I looked at myself. For the first time in months, I didn't see a beaten man. I saw someone with a plan. I grabbed the silver key, Patricia's death certificate, and my ID. Then I walked to the bus stop and rode downtown to Mountain Trust Bank. The game had just changed. "So what do you want to do with this money, Mr. Lockwood?" Samuel Griffin leaned back in his leather chair, mid-50s, sharp suit, reading glasses perched on his nose. His office overlooked downtown Asheville. Floor-to-ceiling windows, polished wood desk, certificates on the walls. I sat across from him. The property documents spread between us. 10 parcels of land, $9.5 million. "I want 3 things," I said. "Security, privacy, and information." Samuel raised an eyebrow. "Information? I'll get to that." I tapped the documents. "First, how fast can we liquidate some of these?" "Depends on the market. But with this location," he pulled up a map on his laptop, "these lots are prime. Developers have been circling this area for years. I'd say we could move 3 parcels within a month, maybe 2 if we price aggressively." "Do it. Sell 3. Keep 7. He nodded, made a note. "That'll net you roughly $3.2 million after taxes and fees. The remaining 7 parcels will be worth about $6.3 million. You could lease them, generate passive income." "Good. Set that up." Samuel studied me. "You seem very calm for someone who just discovered he's a multimillionaire." I didn't smile. I've had time to think. "All right." He closed the laptop. "What's next?" "I want to buy a house. Something private. Secure. Not flashy, but substantial." "Budget. $1.6 million, maybe less." Samuel whistled softly. "Biltmore Forest. That's where you want to be. Gated community. Old money. Quiet. I know a realtor." "Make the call." He jotted down another note. Looked up. "That's 2. What's the third?" I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. "I need a private investigator." Samuel's pen paused. "For my son, Gregory. I want to know how he's living, what he's doing, his finances, his job, his wife, everything." "Mr. Lockwood." "I'm not planning anything illegal." I met his eyes. "I just want to know. Patricia always said knowledge is the best defense." Samuel was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out a business card, slid it across the desk. "Richard Stone, former cop, discreet, thorough, expensive." I took the card. "How expensive?" "5,000 retainer, 200 an hour after that." "Done?" Samuel leaned forward. "Raymond, can I be frank?" "Please. You've been through hell. I can see it. And now you've got resources, power. But revenge." "I'm not looking for revenge," I said quietly. "I'm looking for truth. There's a difference." He studied me, then nodded slowly. "All right. I'll set everything in motion. Expect contracts by end of week." 1 week later, I was standing in the empty living room of my new house. 3 bedrooms, 2 stories, wraparound porch, trees everywhere, Biltmore Forest, quiet, safe, mine. The furniture wouldn't arrive for another 2 days, but I didn't care. I stood at the window and looked out at the mountains in the distance. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" "Mr. Lockwood," a deep voice, gravelly. "Richard Stone, Samuel Griffin gave me your file. I've been watching your son for the past 5 days." My chest tightened. "And, Mr. Lockwood, your son is in serious trouble." I gripped the phone. "What kind of trouble?" "Financial, personal, legal possibly. His wife's not helping. If anything, she's making it worse." I closed my eyes. Part of me felt vindicated. Another part felt something darker. "Tell me everything." Richard Stone opened the folder across the table. Photographs, bank statements, employment records. He'd been thorough. Franklin Lockwood, 39 years old. Fired from Blue Tech Solutions 4 months ago. Insubordination. Showed up late repeatedly. Got into an argument with his supervisor. I said nothing. Richard continued. He and his wife Roseanne the house on Maple Street. the one you used to live in. Mortgage balance is $280,000. They're 4 months behind. Banks already filed foreclosure notices. My chest tightened. Rose quit her job 6 months ago. Pregnant. No income. Gregory's been picking up odd jobs. Construction, handyman work. But it's not enough. They're drowning. He slid a photo across the table. Gregory, thinner, unshaven, standing outside a hardware store in a stained shirt. They sold her car last month. They're fighting. A lot. Neighbors hear them screaming at night. I stared at the photo. My son, the man who'd thrown me out like garbage, and I felt nothing. No, that's not true. I felt anger, bitterness, but also something else, something I didn't want to name. Pity. Mr. Lockwood, Richard's voice pulled me back. What do you want me to do? I closed the folder, pushed it away. Nothing. Not yet. You sure? I'm sure. Richard nodded, packed up his files. You know where to find me. After he left, I sat alone in my new house. Empty rooms, bare walls. The furniture hadn't arrived yet, but I didn't care. I pulled out my phone. Called Samuel Griffin. Raymond, everything all right? I want to move forward on the house, the one in Biltmore Forest. The realtor sent over 3 options, all within budget. No, I cut him off. I want the biggest one, the one that costs every penny of $1.6 million. Silence on the line. Raymond, are you sure that's a significant... I'm sure. Can I ask why? I looked out the window. Mountains in the distance. Sky turning purple with dusk. Because I want them to know who they threw away. Another pause. Then Samuel's voice quieter. Understood. I'll make the arrangements. 1 month later, I stood on the front porch of my new home. 4 bedrooms. 3 bathrooms. Wraparound porch. 2-car garage. Stone facade. Surrounded by old-growth oak trees. Biltmore Forest. The most exclusive neighborhood in Asheville. Henry's truck pulled into the driveway. He climbed out slowly. Stared at the house. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Raymond. His voice was soft, disbelieving. What the hell is this? My house. Your... He looked at me, then back at the house. How Patricia? I smiled faintly. She left me more than I knew. Henry walked up the steps, ran his hand along the porch railing, shook his head. Raymond, this is incredible. We went inside. I gave him the tour. Empty rooms echoing with our footsteps. But you could see the potential, the space, the quality. Henry stood in the living room, looking out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the view, the valley below, the Blue Ridge Mountains beyond. Does Franklin know? He asked quietly. Not yet. Henry turned, his face serious. What are you going to do when he finds out? I leaned against the window frame, looked out at the mountains, the sun setting behind them, painting the sky orange and red. I don't know yet, I said honestly. But they wanted me gone because they thought I had nothing. Now I have everything. I met Henry's eyes, and they're about to find out. 2 weeks after moving in, the rumors started. I didn't spread them. Didn't need to. Small towns talk, especially when a retired chemistry teacher buys a $1 million house in Biltmore Forest. I spent my days unpacking, setting up a small lab in the spare bedroom, beakers, test tubes, old textbooks. Nothing fancy, just enough to keep my mind sharp. One afternoon, my new neighbor knocked on the door. Helen Wright, early 60s, kind face, brought a casserole. Welcome to the neighborhood, she said, smiling. I heard you're a teacher. Was. Retired. Well, if you ever need anything, I'm just next door. I thanked her. She lingered, curious. This is quite the place for a teacher's retirement, she said carefully. I smiled faintly. My wife was smart with money. Helen nodded, didn't press, but I could see the wheels turning. By the end of the week, half of Asheville knew. The retired chemistry teacher with the Biltmore mansion. People talked at the grocery store, the coffee shop, the library where I used to tutor. I didn't care. Then it happened. I was at the hardware store buying supplies for the lab. An old colleague from the high school, Jim Brennan, spotted me. Raymond, my God, is it true? You bought a place in Biltmore. I did. Jim shook his head, grinning. Good for you, man. You deserve it after everything. We talked for a few minutes, then he left. 3 days later, Jim ran into Franklin at the supermarket. I only know this because Jim called me later, apologetic. Raymond, I'm sorry. I didn't know things were complicated. I saw your son and mentioned the house. He looked like I'd punched him. I thanked Jim, told him it was fine. It wasn't fine, but it was necessary. That night, Franklin went home and Googled me. Found the public real estate transaction. 1.6 million. Biltmore Forest. My name on the deed. He and Rose fought. I didn't know this at the time, but Richard Stone told me later. The neighbors heard shouting, plates breaking. Chelsea's voice shrill. You said he had nothing. You said he was broke. Gregory's voice defensive. I didn't know he was living in a motel. Well, he's not now, and we're about to lose everything. Silence. Then Rose again, quieter. Calculated. Call him, apologize. Say we want to make things right. The next morning I sat on the porch with my coffee. The mountains were soft with morning fog. Birds sang in the oaks. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. But I knew. I let it ring 3 times. Then answered. Hello? Silence. Then a voice I hadn't heard in 8 months. Dad. I said nothing. Dad, it's me. Gregory. I know. More silence. He was fumbling. Scared. I heard you bought a house in Biltmore. I did. How did you... Your mother. I kept my voice flat, emotionless. She left me more than I knew. Franklin exhaled, a shaky breath. Dad, we need to talk. Rose and I, we made mistakes. We want to... Tomorrow, 2 p.m. My address is in the county records. Don't be late. I hung up, sat there, staring at the mountains. My phone rang again. Henry. They called, didn't they? Yeah. What did you say? I told them to come tomorrow. Henry was quiet. Then, what are you going to do? I took a sip of coffee, watched a hawk circle above the valley. I'm going to give them a chance, but not a free one. Meaning they're going to learn what it costs to throw someone away? Henry sighed. Be careful, Raymond. I will. After I hung up, I sat alone on the porch until the sun burned off the fog. Tomorrow would be the day that decided everything. 2 o'clock. The doorbell rang. I set down my coffee, walked to the door, took a breath, opened it. Franklin stood on the porch, thinner than I remembered, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, jeans with a stain on the knee. Beside him, Chelsea, 7 months pregnant now, her belly pressed against a faded maternity dress, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup. She looked exhausted, desperate. Neither of them smiled. I didn't either. Come in. They stepped inside and froze. The entryway opened into the living room. Vaulted ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows. The Blue Ridge Mountains framed like a painting beyond the glass. Leather furniture, polished wood floors. A stone fireplace that stretched to the 2nd story. Gregory's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Chelsea's eyes swept the room, taking inventory, calculating. Follow me, I said. I walked them through the house, slowly, deliberately. The kitchen with marble counters and stainless steel appliances. The dining room with a table that seated 10. The study with bookshelves lining every wall. Then the spare bedroom, my lab, beakers on the shelves, a microscope, test tubes, chemistry textbooks stacked on the desk. Franklin stared. You set up a lab. I'm a chemistry teacher. What did you expect? He looked away. Every room was a reminder, every step a message. This is what you threw away. Finally, we returned to the living room. I gestured to the couch. They sat. I took the chair across from them. Silence. Franklin broke first. His voice shook. Dad, where did you get the money for this? Your mother. Rose leaned forward. Mom had money. She invested, real estate, 20 years ago. She was smart, careful. She left it all to me. Gregory's face crumpled. I didn't know. She didn't tell you? She told me. In a letter. After she died. Chelsea's jaw tightened. I could see the wheels turning. If we'd known... Franklin suddenly dropped to his knees, right there on the living room floor. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Rose and we were stressed. The baby. The money. I wasn't thinking. If I'd known Mom left you money, I never would have. I held up a hand. He stopped. If you'd known I had money, you wouldn't have thrown me out. Franklin blinked, confused. That's what you just said. If I'd known. So what does that mean, Gregory? That you only respect me when I'm rich? That I was only worth keeping around if I had something to give you? His face went pale. No, that's not. That's exactly what you said. He lowered his head, ashamed. I looked at Chelsea. She hadn't moved, hadn't cried, hadn't apologized. Her eyes were still scanning the room, the furniture, the view, the space. She was already planning something. I stood. I'll give you one chance. One. But there are conditions. Gregory's head snapped up. Anything. Dad, anything. We'll do whatever you want. We'll apologize to the neighbors. I'm not finished. He fell silent. I walked to the window, looked out at the mountains, hands behind my back. If I help you, it's not free. You'll work for it. You'll earn it. You'll prove to me that you understand what you did. And if you betray me again, even once, you'll never see me or my money again. Do you understand? Yes. Gregory's voice was desperate, broken. Yes, Dad, I understand. I turned to Chelsea. And you... She met my eyes, nodded slowly, but her expression didn't match Gregory's. His was desperate, pleading. Hers was calculating, cold. I understand, she said softly. I didn't believe her, but I needed to see how far she'd go. I sat in the single chair. They stayed on the couch. Lower. That mattered. 7 conditions, I said. Non-negotiable. Break one. We're done. Franklin nodded quickly. Anything. Rose watched. Silent. I pulled out a notepad, wrote as I spoke. 1. Apologize publicly to every neighbor on Maple Street, door to door. Tell them what you did. 1 week. Franklin swallowed. Yes, Dad. 2. Gregory, you take the IT job I arrange. $65,000 a year. Work hard. Show up on time. 1 year minimum. I will. 3. Chelsea, after the baby's born, you enroll in healthcare retraining, nursing assistant, medical billing, something. Finish it. Her jaw tightened. She nodded. 4. I pay off the mortgage. $280,000. The house is debt-free. Gregory's eyes filled with tears. Dad, I held up a hand. But the house goes into a trust for Liam. You live there until he's 18. Then it's his. Franklin nodded. That's fair. 5. Dinner with me once a week. Here. No cancellations. Of course. 6. No lying. Not once. I catch you in one lie. This is over. I won't lie, Dad. I promise. I turned to Chelsea. And you? She hesitated. Just a second. I promise. Are you sure? Her face softened, almost convincing. Yes, we want to make this right. I didn't look away. Too controlled. Too smooth. 7. Violate any condition, you lose everything. The house. The job. My help. My money. Me. Understand? Yes? Franklin said firmly. Rosa nodded. I stood. You can go. I'll call with details. Gregory be ready Monday. Franklin moved toward me, hugged me. I didn't hug back. He pulled away, eyes red. Thank you, Dad. Rose said nothing. They left. I stood at the window until their car disappeared. My phone buzzed. Henry. Well, they agreed. All of it. Yeah. Silence. Do you trust them? I watched the mountains, light fading. I don't know, Henry, but Patricia would have wanted me to try. And if they betray you again, then I'll know I gave them a chance. Henry sighed. Be careful. I will. After I hung up, I stood alone in the dark house. I thought about Patricia, about her letter. Don't let anyone use you. Don't let anyone make you feel small. I wasn't small anymore, but I wasn't sure I was safe either. I just hoped I wasn't wrong. 3 months passed like a dream. The first 2 weeks, Franklin and Rose went door to door on Maple Street. Every neighbor, every person who'd watched me leave. Helen Wright called afterward, her voice thick with emotion. Raymond, they came today. Both of them. Franklin was crying. They told me everything. I hugged them. But Raymond, I'm so proud of you for giving them another chance. Word spread. The whole neighborhood knew. and they knew I hadn't been the problem. Month 1. Month 2. Franklin reported to work every Monday. IT support downtown. He showed up early, stayed late. His supervisor called once. "Mr. Lockwood, your son's one of the hardest workers we've got. Just wanted you to know." I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride. Every Friday they came for dinner. Rose cooked, chicken, pasta, vegetables. She set the table carefully, asked about my week, talked about the baby. She called me Dad. It felt almost real. Franklin talked about work, about wanting to be a good father. I told him stories about Patricia, about raising Gregory. Rose listened, nodded, smiled softly. Sometimes I caught her watching me, studying me, but when I met her eyes, she'd look away. "Just thinking how lucky Liam is to have you as a grandfather," she'd say. Month 3. Rose went into labor on a Tuesday. Franklin called at 6 a.m. "Dad, it's happening. Can you come?" I was there in 20 minutes. 12 hours later, Liam was born. 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Tiny. Perfect. They handed him to me. I looked down at his face, eyes barely open, fingers curled into fists. "Patricia," I whispered, "you see this. We have a grandson." My voice cracked. Franklin put his hand on my shoulder. "She'd be so happy, Dad." 2 weeks later, Franklin asked if they could move in temporarily, just until Liam's 6 months old. "Chelsea's exhausted. We could use the help, and we want him to know you." I hesitated, then nodded. 6 months, then you go back. Deal. They moved in the next week. I set up a crib, bought diapers, bottles, a monitor. Rose thanked me every day, cooked every night, kept the house clean. Franklin came home and played with Liam, changed diapers without complaining. Everything was perfect. For the first time since Patricia died, I felt like I had a family again. I thought maybe Patricia was right. Maybe family deserves a second chance. But one night, 3 weeks after they moved in, I woke up, past midnight. The house was dark, silent, except I heard something, faint, from down the hall, whispering. I sat up, listened. I couldn't make out the words, just the tone, low, urgent. Chelsea's voice, then Gregory's, quieter, uncertain, then silence. I lay back down, stared at the ceiling. Probably nothing. New parents, stressed, tired. They were whispering about the baby, sleep schedules. That's all it was. I closed my eyes, but sleep didn't come easy. And in the back of my mind, a small voice whispered, "What if you're wrong?" I pushed it away. Everything was fine. Everything was perfect, wasn't it? 2 weeks after they moved in, I forgot Helen Wright's name. She came by with a pie, knocked on the door. I opened it and stared at her. Familiar face, but the name gone. "Hi, Raymond," she smiled, held out the pie. "Apple? Your favorite?" I took it. "Thank you." Her smile faded. "Helen? Helen Wright. Your neighbor." My face burned. "Of course. Helen, sorry, I've been distracted." She laughed, nervous. "We talked yesterday, Raymond. Are you feeling all right?" "Fine. Just tired. The baby keeps me up." She nodded, but her eyes lingered, concerned. After she left, I stood in the entryway holding the pie. My hands were shaking. Helen. Her name is Helen. How did I forget that? The next week, I couldn't find my car keys. Searched for 20 minutes. Found them in the refrigerator. I stared at them. Cold. Condensation forming on the metal. Why would I put them there? I didn't remember. The headaches started, dull, persistent, behind my eyes. I'd stand up and the room would tilt. I'd sit back down, wait for it to pass. My mouth was always dry, no matter how much water I drank. I'd walk into a room and forget why I was there. Stand in the doorway, blinking, confused. Franklin noticed. "Dad, you okay?" "You've been standing there for like 2 minutes." I shook my head. "Fine, just thinking." But I wasn't thinking. I was blank, empty. One morning I woke up exhausted. I'd slept 10 hours, but it felt like none. Rose was in the kitchen making coffee. She smiled when she saw me. "Morning, Dad. How'd you sleep?" "Tired." She frowned, touched my arm. "You don't look well. Have you been feeling okay?" I poured coffee. My hand shook. "I'm fine, just old." "You're not that old." Her voice was soft, concerned. Maybe you should see a doctor. I don't need a doctor. Dad. She stepped closer, her eyes wide, worried. You forgot where you parked the car yesterday. You called Liam Gregory twice. You're not eating. You're losing weight. Something's wrong. I looked at her. She looked genuinely worried. It's just age, Chelsea. It happens. Please, let us take you. Just a checkup. I hesitated, then nodded. Fine, if it'll make you feel better. Her face brightened. Thank you. I'll make an appointment. The symptoms got worse. I'd be talking to Franklin and lose my train of thought mid-sentence. Just stop. Stare at him. Dad, he'd say. You okay? I'd nod, shake my head clear. Sorry? What was I saying? I don't know. You just stopped. One morning I stood in the kitchen, staring at the counter. I'd come in here for something. But what coffee? No. I already had coffee. Water keys. My phone I couldn't remember. I stood there. Minutes passing. My mind blank. Dad! I turned. Franklin was in the doorway, holding Liam, watching me. For a moment, just a moment, I didn't recognize him. His face was familiar, but I couldn't place it, couldn't remember his name. Then it clicked. Gregory. My son. Dad, you okay? I blinked. Yeah, I'm fine. You've been standing there for 5 minutes. I looked around. I forgot what I was doing. Gregory's face fell. Dad, we need to get you to a doctor. Today. I'm fine. You're not fine. His voice was firm, scared. Please, let us help. I looked at him, at the worry in his eyes, and I felt something cold settle in my chest. What's happening to me? Okay, I said quietly. Okay. Dr. Lawrence Reed's office was clean, professional, almost too professional. Certificates on the wall, leather chairs, soft lighting, everything perfect. Rose drove me. Franklin was at work. Reed greeted us at the door. Mid-50s. Graying hair. Warm smile. Firm handshake. Mr. Lockwood, please have a seat. I sat. Rose sat beside me. Close. Her hand on my arm. Reed asked questions. How long had I been forgetting things? Headaches, dizziness, sleep, I answered, my voice quiet, uncertain. He checked my blood pressure, pulse, listened to my heart. Physically, you're fine, he said. But let's do a cognitive assessment. He pulled out a clipboard. What's today's date? November 15th. Close, 16th. What year? 20 to 24. Good, huh? Who's the president? I opened my mouth. The answer was right there, on the tip of my tongue. But it wouldn't come. I don't remember. Reed made a note. That's all right. Can you count backward from 100 by sevens? 193, 80. I stopped, my mind blank. 80. Take your time. I couldn't. The numbers were gone. Reed set down the clipboard, his face serious. Mr. Lockwood, based on your symptoms and this assessment, I believe you're experiencing cognitive decline. Early stage Alzheimer's or dementia. The word hit like a punch. Alzheimer's? My voice cracked. That's not possible. I'm afraid it's more common than people think, especially in men your age. I thought of Patricia. She'd been terrified of this disease. Her mother had it, died not knowing her own children. If I ever get Alzheimer's, Patricia had said once, don't let me live like that. I'd promised her I wouldn't. And now it was me. Reed pulled out a prescription pad. I'm prescribing something to help slow the progression. It won't stop it, but it may buy you time. I took the paper, stared at it. The words blurred. Rose squeezed my hand. We'll take care of you, Dad. You won't be alone. I nodded, couldn't speak. On the drive home, I stared out the window. Trees, houses, the mountains in the distance. Everything felt distant, unreal. Chelsea's voice was soft. Dad, I know this is scary, but Franklin and we're not going anywhere. We'll be with you every step. You don't have to go through this alone. I closed my eyes. A tear slipped down my cheek. Not because of the diagnosis, but because I thought of 8 months ago, standing in that motel, eating 1 meal a day, alone, forgotten. They'd called me a burden then, and now I'd be one again. Only this time I couldn't fight it. This time it was real. 2 weeks after the diagnosis, I forgot Liam's name. I was holding him, rocking him gently. Franklin walked in. How's Liam doing? I looked down at the baby. His name. What was his name? 5 seconds? 10? He's fine. Franklin frowned. Dad, you okay? Yeah, just tired. But I wasn't tired. I'd forgotten my own grandson's name. The symptoms got worse. One morning I went for a walk. Ended up 3 blocks away. Couldn't remember how I got there. Couldn't remember where I lived. A neighbor, Helen Wright, found me standing on the sidewalk, staring at the houses. Raymond, are you lost? I don't know where I am. She walked me home, held my arm the whole way. When we got to the door, Rose was there, smiling, concerned. Dad, where did you go? We were worried. I couldn't answer. Helen squeezed my shoulder. He's all right, just a little confused. Rose thanked her, closed the door. The smile vanished. I forgot if I'd eaten breakfast. Rose told me I had, but I didn't remember. I forgot where I put my glasses. Found them in the bathroom, on the sink. I didn't remember putting them there. One afternoon, Franklin came home from work, walked into the living room. I looked at him. His face was familiar, but I couldn't place it. He stared at me. Dad. It took a moment. Then it clicked. Gregory. My son. Sorry, I was, thinking about something. He didn't believe me. I watched Rose make my orange juice one morning. I was sitting at the kitchen table, reading the newspaper, or trying to. The words kept blurring. Rose stood at the counter, her back to me. She poured juice from the carton into a glass. Then she paused, reached for something. A small bottle. Brown glass. No label. She glanced over her shoulder. I looked down at the paper quickly. She unscrewed the cap, poured something into the glass. Just a few drops. Then she turned, smiled. Orange juice, Dad. Fresh squeezed. I took it, drank it. Didn't think twice. It tasted normal. Late one night I heard voices. I'd gone to bed early, exhausted, like always. But something woke me. Low voices. From downstairs. I got up. Slowly. My legs felt heavy, weak. I crept to the hallway, listened. Gregory's voice. Tense. What are you doing, Chelsea? Calm. Giving him his medication. That's not the bottle Dr. Reed gave us. Silence. It's vitamins, Greg, to help with his energy. Vitamins don't come in unmarked bottles. Are you questioning me? Her voice turned cold. I'm worried. He's getting worse. Fast. That's the disease. You heard what Dr. Reed said. I know, but what? Sharp, defensive. You think I'm not taking care of him after everything we've done? After everything you did to him? Silence. Then Gregory's voice. Quiet, defeated. You're right. I'm sorry. I stood there, in the dark hallway, my mind foggy, trying to understand. What was she giving me? Why was Franklin sorry I couldn't think, couldn't focus? I turned, went back to bed. Another night I woke up. It was past midnight. The room was spinning. Patricia, I called out, my voice weak, confused. The door opened, a figure in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light. Dad, you okay? I squinted, tried to focus. Who was that? The figure stepped closer. It's me, Chelsea. I stared at her. Her face was familiar, but I didn't know her. Who are you? She smiled, soft, gentle. I'm your daughter-in-law, Dad. You're safe. Go back to sleep. She pulled the blanket up, smoothed my hair. I closed my eyes. As she turned to leave, I caught something. Her smile. It wasn't kind. It was satisfied. And in the darkness just before the door closed, I heard her whisper, almost there. The next morning I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my eggs. My head felt thick, heavy, like I was underwater. Rose and Franklin Ware in the kitchen, at the counter, backs turned, talking low. I couldn't focus, couldn't think, but I heard words, pieces. Next week, Chelsea's voice, quiet, urgent. Are you sure he'll be... Gregory, uncertain. He's confused enough now. Another few days and he won't even remember his own name. Silence. The papers are ready. We just need him to sign. Chelsea, I don't know if... Don't get weak on me now. Her voice turned sharp. This is our last chance. We lose the house in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Greg. Do you want to be homeless with a baby? No, but... Then we do this. Next Wednesday. I'll have Dr. Reed here. He'll witness the signature. Everything legal. I tried to process the words, but they floated, slipped away, Papers. Sign. Next Wednesday. What papers? I looked down at my eggs. When had I started eating Rose Tern? Saw me. Her face shifted instantly. Warm. Concerned. Dad, you're awake? Did you sleep well? I blinked. I think so. She walked over, touched my shoulder. You barely touched your breakfast. Are you feeling okay? Tired? Of course you are. She picked up my plate. Let me get you some juice. Fresh orange juice. Your favorite. She walked back to the counter. I watched her pour the juice, watched her glance at Gregory. He looked away. She brought the glass. Set it in front of me. Drink up, Dad. It'll help with your energy. I lifted the glass. Drank. It tasted normal. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Something was wrong. I knew it. Felt it. Deep in my gut. But I couldn't think. Couldn't remember what they'd said. Papers. Sign. Next Wednesday. What did that mean? I closed my eyes. Tried to focus. Tried to remember. But the thoughts slipped away. Like water through my fingers. My chest felt tight. What's happening to me? Why can't I think? I drifted. Heavy. Sinking. I was standing in our old kitchen, on Maple Street, sunlight through the window. Patricia was there, at the stove, cooking, her back to me. Patricia! She turned, smiled, but her eyes were sad. Raymond! What's happening? My voice cracked. I can't think anymore. I'm losing myself. She stepped closer, took my hands. Raymond, listen to me. You have to wake up. I'm trying, but I'm so tired. You're not tired. Her grip tightened. You're being poisoned. I stared at her. What? Wake up, Raymond, before it's too late. They're going to... Her voice cut off. The kitchen faded. I jolted awake, heart pounding, gasping for air. The room was dark, silent. I sat up, hands shaking. Poisoned. Patricia's voice echoed in my head. You're being poisoned. No. That was just a dream, just my confused mind. Wasn't it? I lay back down, pulled the blanket up, but sleep didn't come. And somewhere in the back of my mind, buried under the fog, a small voice whispered, what if she's right? That morning I woke up and felt different. My mind was clear, not foggy, not heavy, clear. I sat up, blinked, looked around the room. I knew where I was. I knew what day it was. I knew my name, Raymond Lockwood, 68 years old, retired chemistry teacher. For the first time in weeks I could think. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the mountains. They were sharp, defined, not blurred like they'd been. What's happening? Never a better question. What's not happening? I replayed last night. Liam had been crying, inconsolable. Rose stayed up all night, pacing, rocking him. Franklin tried to help, but gave up around 2 a.m. This morning the house was quiet. Rose hadn't come to my room yet. No breakfast, no orange juice. And I felt normal. I sat on the edge of the bed, ran through my symptoms, the way I'd been taught. Clinical, methodical, memory loss, short-term, severe, dry mouth, constant, dilated pupils. I'd seen it in the mirror. Fatigue, disorientation, confusion. I frowned. Alzheimer's doesn't work like this. It's progressive, steady. It doesn't fluctuate day to day. But mine had. Some days I couldn't remember Liam's name. Other days I was fine. That's not Alzheimer's. I stood, paced. Think, Raymond. You're a chemist. What causes these symptoms? Anticholinergics, sedatives, tropane alkaloids, scopolamine. The word landed in my mind like a stone. Scopolamine, also called hyoscine, used medically for motion sickness, nausea, but in higher doses, amnesia, confusion, suggestibility. It's called devil's breath in some countries, used by criminals to incapacitate victims. I sat down hard. Rose was a nurse before she quit, before she got pregnant. She'd worked in a hospital. She knew medications, dosages, side effects. And every morning she brought me orange juice. Fresh squeezed, she said. I'd seen her pour something into it once. A small bottle, brown glass, no label. I thought it was vitamins. But what if it wasn't? I stood, walked to the door, listened. Silence downstairs. Today I didn't drink the juice. And today my mind is clear. My chest tightened. Someone's been poisoning me. Chelsea's been poisoning me. Footsteps on the stairs. I moved back to the bed, sat down, tried to look tired. Confused, the door opened. Chelsea, hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes, holding a glass of orange juice. She smiled, tired but warm. Dad, you're awake. I'm sorry I'm late. Liam was up all night. She walked over, held out the glass. Here, drink this. You'll feel better. I looked at the glass. The liquid was pale, pulpy, innocent. But I knew better now. I met her eyes. I'm not thirsty, Chelsea. Her smile faltered, just for a second. Dad, you need to stay hydrated. Dr. Reed said, I'll get water later. I kept my voice steady, calm. You look exhausted. Go rest. I'll be fine. She didn't move, just stood there, holding the glass, studying me. Are you sure I'm sure? For a long moment we stared at each other. Then she smiled again, softer. But something in her eyes had shifted. All right. If you need anything, just call. She set the glass on the nightstand, turned, walked to the door, paused, looked back at me. You seem better today. Just a good morning. She nodded slowly, then left, closed the door behind her. I stared at the glass on the nightstand. Orange juice, poison. I wasn't losing my mind. Someone was taking it from me, and now that I knew I had to be careful. Because if Rose realized I was onto her, I didn't know what she'd do. From that day on, I became an actor. Day 1, day 2. I pretended to drink the orange juice, tilted the glass, but when Rose turned away, I poured it into the potted plant. I ate only packaged food, crackers, canned soup, nothing she could touch. My mind sharpened. Memory returned. But I hid it. I forgot Gregory's name. Got lost walking to the bathroom. Stopped mid-sentence at dinner. Rose watched, then smiled, satisfied. Dad's getting worse, she told Gregory. I listened from the living room. By next week, yeah, he'll be ready. Day 3. Past midnight, I crept downstairs, installed a wireless camera disguised as a kitchen clock, mounted it above the counter, aimed at where she made my juice. Then I went back to bed. Day 4. That morning, Rose brought orange juice. I smiled. Thank you, dear. After she left, I poured half into a Ziploc bag, sealed it, labeled it, hid it in my lab, evidence. Day 5. I made 2 calls from my locked lab. Richard, Samuel, I need you both here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Tell no one. Richard hesitated. Mr. Lockwood, trust me. Day 6, day 7. I reviewed the camera footage. 6:47 a.m. Roseanne in the kitchen, alone. She poured juice, then pulled out a small brown bottle. No label. Added 3 drops. Stirred, then looked toward the doorway. Franklin stood there, watching. She stared at him. Defiant. He said nothing. Just turned and walked away. I watched it 3 times. My hand shook. My son knew. He saw her poison me, and did nothing. I sent the samples to Dr. Raymond Cole, retired toxicologist, someone I trusted. Ray, test this, quietly. Raymond, what's going on? Please. Day 8. Richard Stone and Samuel Griffin arrived at 9 p.m. I led them to my lab, locked the door. What I'm about to tell you will sound insane, but I have proof. I showed them everything. The footage, the samples, the timeline. Samuel went pale. Raymond, my daughter-in-law has been poisoning me with scopolamine to make me incompetent, so I'll sign over my assets. Richard leaned forward. You're sure? I handed him the printed email from Dr. Cole. Test results. Positive for scopolamine, 0.8 mg/L, and diphenhydramine, 1.2 mg/L, criminal dosage. Richard read it, looked up, jaw tight. This is enough to prosecute. Samuel nodded. Attempted fraud, poisoning, elder abuse. I exhaled. They plan to have me sign papers next Wednesday. Dr. Reed will witness. Make it legal. Not if we stop them first, Richard said. I met his eyes. I want them arrested. Rose and Dr. Reed. Airtight evidence. Samuel hesitated. Raymond. Franklin was in that video. He saw her. He didn't stop her. I know. If we pursue this, he'll be implicated. I looked at the frozen footage. My son, standing in the doorway, watching. Good. Richard frowned. Are you sure that's your son? I turned off the monitor. Not anymore. Wednesday morning, the day they'd been planning for. Rose woke me early, smiled, brought orange juice. I pretended to drink it, spilled a little on my shirt, apologized. She didn't notice. Dad, we have something important today. Franklin and I need to talk to you. I nodded, confused, lost. Perfect. 10 a.m. They led me to the living room. A man I'd never seen sat in the armchair, mid-40s, suit, briefcase. Dad, this is Mr. Brennan. He's a lawyer. He's here to help us with some family paperwork. I blinked, looked at Gregory. A lawyer, Dad. He's going to help protect Liam. Rose guided me to the couch, sat beside me, close, her hand on my arm. Brennan opened his briefcase, pulled out a stack of documents. Mr. Lockwood, I understand you've been experiencing some cognitive difficulties. I stared at him, said nothing. We're here today to ensure your assets are protected. For your grandson, Liam. He slid the papers across the coffee table. This is a transfer of property. Your home here in Biltmore Forest, and the 7 remaining land parcels you own. They'll be transferred to your son Gregory, who will hold them in trust for Liam until he turns 18. I looked down at the papers, squinted, tried to read. The words swam, at least that's what they thought. Rose leaned closer. Dad, this is for Liam, to protect him. If you get sicker, we need to make sure he's taken care of. Liam, I repeated, my voice weak. Your grandson, Dad. Oh, yes, Liam. Brennan pointed to a line at the bottom. You just need to sign here, Mr. Lockwood. He handed me a pen. I took it. My hand shook. I looked at Gregory. He wouldn't meet my eyes, just stared at the floor. I looked at Chelsea. She smiled, warm, encouraging, but her eyes were cold. I lowered the pen to the paper. Chelsea's smile widened. Franklin shifted, uncomfortable, guilty. I touched the pen to the line, then stopped. I need water. Chelsea's smile faltered, just for a second. Dad, let's sign first. Then I'll get you water. No, I'm thirsty. Please. She exhaled, annoyed. Fine. She stood, walked toward the kitchen. Brennan looked at me. Miss Lockwood, are you feeling all right? I didn't answer, just stared at the papers. Franklin stood. I'll help Chelsea. He followed her out. Brennan and I sat alone. He checked his watch. This won't take long, Mr. Lockwood. Just one signature. I nodded, slowly. Then, the front door opened. Heavy footsteps. Brennan looked up, frowned. Samuel Griffin stepped into the room. Behind him, 2 uniformed police officers. Behind them, Richard Stone. Brennan stood. What the Samuel's voice was cold, authoritative. Sit down. Brennan hesitated, then sat. I set down the pen, stood, slowly, steadily, my back straight, my eyes clear. I looked at Samuel, nodded. He nodded back. From the kitchen, Chelsea's voice. Dad, here's your... She stepped into the living room, saw Samuel. The officers? Richard. The glass of water slipped from her hand, shattered on the floor. Her face went white. What? Her voice barely a whisper. What's going on? Franklin appeared behind her, saw the police, froze. I turned, looked at them both, and for the first time in weeks I spoke clearly, firmly. It's over. Samuel stepped forward, looked at me. Mr. Lockwood, do you wish to proceed? I nodded. Rose found her voice, shrill, desperate. Dad's confused. He's been sick. He doesn't know what he's saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. My voice was steady, strong. Did you really think a chemistry teacher of 40 years wouldn't recognize scopolamine? Her mouth opened, closed. Samuel pulled out a tablet, turned it toward Rose and Gregory. This is security footage from your kitchen, recorded over the past week. He pressed play. The screen showed Chelsea, alone in the kitchen. 6:47 a.m., pouring orange juice, then reaching into her pocket, pulling out a small brown bottle, adding drops to the glass, stirring. Would you like to explain what that is, Mrs. Lockwood? Chelsea's face hardened. It's vitamins. To help him. Vitamins. I stepped closer. Scopolamine is a vitamin now. Richard Stone pulled a folder from his briefcase, handed it to one of the officers. Toxicology report. Dr. Raymond Cole, licensed toxicologist. Food and beverage samples taken from Mr. Lockwood's home tested positive for scopolamine at 0.8 milligrams per liter and diphenhydramine at 1.2 milligrams per liter, both at criminal levels. Samuel turned to Brennan. And you're not a lawyer, are you? Brennan stood. I don't know what... Richard cut him off. Your real name is Lawrence Reed. You were disbarred 3 years ago for fraud. You've been posing as a medical consultant. Dr. Reed, correct. Reed's face went pale. Samuel looked at the officers. Arrest him. One officer moved toward Reed, handcuffs out. I turned to Gregory. He stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. Gregory! He looked at me. You knew. Dad, The video shows you, standing in the doorway, watching her poison me, and you walked away. I thought it was just sleeping pills to help you rest. I didn't know. You knew enough. My voice broke. You chose money over me. Again. Franklin dropped to his knees. Dad, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was weak. I was scared. We were going to lose everything. So you let her destroy me instead. The second officer stepped forward. Franklin Lockwood, you're under arrest as an accessory to elder abuse, attempted fraud, and conspiracy. No, Rose screamed. You can't. We have a baby. Liam needs his father. I looked at her, my voice cold. Liam needs a father who isn't a criminal. The officer cuffed Gregory. He didn't resist, just sobbed. Rose fought, screamed. This is insane, Raymond's delusional. He has Alzheimer's. Samuel held up the toxicology report. No, Mrs. Lockwood, he doesn't. You gave him a disease, and now you'll face the consequences. They cuffed her. As the officers led them toward the door, Rose turned, her face twisted with rage. You'll regret this. Liam will grow up hating you. I didn't answer. The door closed behind them. Silence. Samuel, Richard, and I stood in the empty living room. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on the couch. Samuel sat beside me. Raymond, you did the right thing. Then why does it feel like I just lost everything? Richard knelt in front of me. Because you're human, and this is the hardest thing you've ever done. The door opened again. Henry Wallace stepped in. He must have been waiting outside. He crossed the room, sat on my other side, put his arm around my shoulders. You did it, Raymond. You survived. I covered my face with my hands, and for the first time since Patricia died, I let myself break. Henry held me. It's okay. Let it out. I sent my own son to jail, Henry. You stopped him from destroying you. But Liam will be safe, and when he's old enough, he'll understand. I looked up, eyes red. Will he? Henry squeezed my shoulder. You haven't lost everything, Raymond. You still have Liam, and you still have yourself. 3 months later, the trial ended. Chelsea, 15 years. Attempted murder, elder abuse. Gregory, 8 years. Conspiracy. Lawrence Reed, 10 years. Fraud. I was awarded full custody of Liam. The first month was hard. I hired Rosa Martinez. She taught me how to change diapers, warm bottles, soothe a crying baby at 2 a.m. I was 68, learning to be a father again. Some nights I sat in the nursery, rocking Liam, wondering if I was doing the right thing. But when he smiled, reached for my face, I knew. 9 months passed. Liam learned to walk. Stumbling across the living room, laughing, he learned to say Papa. I taught him colors, shapes. We played in the garden. I showed him flowers. One afternoon I brought him to my lab, showed him a beaker, let him hold a plastic test tube. Chemistry, Liam. It's about reactions, cause and effect. He giggled. Didn't understand. But he would. Life was peaceful, but not happy. Not completely. I thought of Franklin every day. 1 year after the arrests, I drove to the state prison. They brought Franklin to the visitation room. Orange jumpsuit, thinner, older. We sat, glass between us, phones in hand. He spoke first, voice breaking. Dad, I'm sorry. Every day I think about what I did. Can you ever forgive me? I leaned forward. Forgive you? You let your wife poison me. You chose money over your father. His face crumpled. I know. I'll live with that forever. Good. He flinched. I started to stand. Wait. Liam, how is he? I paused. He's fine. Walking. Talking. Happy. Does he ask about me? He's too young. But when he's old enough, I'll tell him the truth. That his father made a terrible choice and paid the price. Tears fell down Gregory's face. Will you bring him to see me? Maybe. When he's old enough to understand. Not for you. For him. So he knows actions have consequences. I stood. Goodbye, Gregory. I hung up, walked away. He called after me. I didn't look back. That evening I sat in the garden with Liam. He played with plastic test tubes, poured water, laughed when it spilled. I watched, smiled. In chemistry, every reaction has a consequence. In life, it's the same. Choices matter. He toddled over, hugged my leg. I picked him up, held him close. He kissed my cheek. I closed my eyes. Thought of Patricia. You see this? We protected what mattered most. The sun set over the mountains. The house glowed gold. It wasn't perfect, but it was hope. And sometimes that's enough. Looking back on everything that happened, I now see that this true story taught me a lesson I should have understood from the very beginning. Boundaries are not barriers meant to push people away, but bridges that lead to dignity, safety, and mutual respect. For a long time, I believed love meant endurance, staying quiet, tolerating pain, and carrying guilt that was never truly mine. I was wrong. If you are living through a situation that feels similar, please don't wait the way I did. Don't explain away behavior that makes you feel small. Don't allow fear, obligation, or shame to blind you to manipulation. Stories like mine aren't told to entertain or accuse. They are told to warn, to protect, and to remind others that they are not alone. What I've learned through all of this is something I hold deeply now. Family is not defined by blood alone. It is defined by honesty, care, and respect. When those foundations are stripped away, you are not betraying anyone by stepping back. You are protecting yourself. I also learned that faith is not passive. God gives us wisdom, strength, and clarity so we can survive difficult seasons. In my weakest moments, prayer reminded me that my worth was never something others could take from me. I was created with purpose, and even when my voice felt ignored, my spirit remained intact. Forgiveness, too, took on a new meaning. I forgive not to excuse harm, but to free my own heart. Forgiving someone does not require inviting them back into a place where they can hurt you again. Boundaries and forgiveness can exist together. Protecting the innocent, including yourself, is not unkind. It is necessary. This true story is not just mine. It belongs to anyone who has ever felt invisible, dismissed, or treated like a burden. Grandpa's stories carry weight because time teaches us this. Truth, choices have consequences. Actions leave lasting marks. And sometimes the bravest form of love is learning to say no. If you've ever felt forgotten, hear this clearly. You matter. You are seen. And it is never too late to reclaim your life. If an old chemistry teacher can stand back up at 68, so can you.